I think the one I helped found would probably be best. So, hi, my name's Eddie Raymond. I'm from Rutherford, New Jersey, Bergen County, born and raised, and I am the founder and co-president of the Bergen County GSA organization.
Awesome. Um,
Oh, yes. So, actually, this is one of the most common questions I get, and the answer should not be as complicated as it is, but there's a lot that goes into it. So GSAs were groups originally called gay straight alliances in schools starting in New York City, and eventually they expanded throughout the United States, and they were focused on liberation efforts for queer students, especially during the 60s and 70s when they were obviously not as supported as they are today. Now, over time, people started to notice that this name wasn't as representative of the entire LGBTQ community. So I've seen groups that have the same goals change their names to gender sexuality awareness clubs, uh, Glow, Prism, Spectrum, etc., representing the same goals. But what I've preferred is queer student activists or queer student activists because I think that it really represents like where I want that movement to go because I found that over the past maybe what 10 years, obviously I'm young, so I would only know so much, but from my research and observation, I've noticed that over the past 10 years, the effort for liberation, not just tolerance, being accepted and brought and uplifted in these spaces has been brought down. So I've been trying to bring the activism back to GSAs through Bergen County GSA and also my New Jersey and even national efforts.
so jumping off from that, Eddie, tell us a little bit about your journey, where in terms of this leadership in these different organizations, Bergen County,
Mhm.
the motivating factors behind that. What has really drawn you to step up and want to be a leader in this space?
Yeah, honestly, I never made the conscious effort to be a leader until I'd say last year or even early this year because as in my senior year, so 2025, not 2026. Because I think I was thrust into that position just because I was aware of the issues students were facing and I would point them out, but I didn't have those leadership skills until I made that concerted effort because I was a student who did not feel very accepted in the space I was in, and I was dealing with a lot of very, very negative thoughts because I felt like I had no community to go to. So I knew that at the very least, growing up, I wanted to be a good person, a kind person. I developed kind of a model of the kind stranger, which is what I try and teach the students I help today, which is you can't just be like nice to people. You can't just be kind. You have to do actions, right? You have to take actions for the people you know, but then also for everyone in the community, even those you don't know well. That's where the idea of the kind stranger comes from. And I've since then been trying to take that on myself and trying not to be hypocritical by telling other people how to act. I have to act that way too. But in order to do that, I had to learn how do I speak with people? How do I get myself into the rooms where I can actually make an impact, which has been very difficult. Luckily, there are so many people out there that have been doing this work before I have that have been able to help me and guide me, and so I can find those rooms, but really leadership just came with practice. It came with noticing the needs and then taking those steps to say, I see something, I'm going to do something about it. And while it's difficult, it kind of is that simple.
Yes, the fact that you're learning those lessons really young, as you said, you were kind of thrust into that position of lending your voice on behalf of others. So when you think about kind of the range of challenges that LGBTQ young people are facing, I mean, what really kind of stands out to you, or what do you want to see go better for other people, maybe perhaps than things happen to you?
Honestly, I think it just comes with being heard because I can name numerous issues. It can be access to healthcare, access to safe spaces, being able to feel comfortable in your own skin, be comfortable at home, be comfortable in your community. But all of those come back to the same thing, which is the basics of being heard. Because so many students, I feel like, go throughout their day-to-day lives and they know the issues they're facing and they will share those. They'll share those with their parents, maybe their peers. And unfortunately, for so many students, they are told directly or indirectly that their issues don't matter. That's just the way things are. Once you get older, you won't have to worry about this, or even worse, what you're specifically going through doesn't matter because your identity doesn't matter. And it's like if you can't even recognize someone's identity exists, it's hard enough to make all those other issues be solved. So that's one of the things I feel like I've had to struggle with the most is thinking about how do I get just people who are going through their day-to-day lives to actually recognize that people of so many diverse gender and sexual identities actually exist. And I think that's also where intersectionality comes into play, because then I have to start thinking about, oh, what are the different ways that race and age and economic status all pile onto these things? Because it can be hard enough. I don't want to use the word difficult, but it can be difficult for parents and adults to, and even students to get out of the mentality of bigotry that they have been taught their entire lives when they are still facing discrimination themselves in their own way. Or if they can't afford to have food on the table, they're not going to care that their kid is transgender, right? So that's where I think my activism sprouted outside of just LGBTQ plus advocacy. It also started to go into those other factors because you can't have freedom, you can't have liberation if people can't eat. Simple enough.
I really appreciate you kind of unpacking that, because I've always read over intersectionality and in my mind trying to understand. And you put
Mhm.
that very clearly. Um, so thank you. I have to kind of because that's so true that um,
Well, yeah, like
we have
you
to
can't
embrace,
hear
yeah,
something if you
so
can't
many,
eat.
yeah, mhm,
Yeah,
yeah. So thank you. Um, so I just we just had a couple more things that we typically want to talk about, but
sure.
you started on this journey, as you said, kind of leadership, maybe coming into that place because you want to be a voice that people hear so that other voices can be heard as well. But you're looking forward into your life, your plans. How do you see yourself continuing to be an advocate or a mentor, or somebody who is wanting to get the message, to get the that kindness that you spoke to out into the bigger the bigger picture?
Yeah. I like I said, when I was young, I realized no matter what, I want to be a good person, a kind stranger, whatever you call it. And I've kind of found that that I'm going to find personal fulfillment. I feel like I will accomplish that if I continue my advocacy, and I already know that that's going to come into so many different forms than I'm doing right now. Like I have just recently started writing a lot. I've been in all different mediums. I mean, I've been writing um like theoretical works on how we can more effectively utilize our resources and be conscious of the different ways that um people and I guess especially students suffer that aren't always seen, especially in mainstream media. But also, then I've been writing poetry and creative works and sharing that because people need to consume information in all different ways because honestly, it's not just one way that people get their information, right? I love to say I'm going to do one singular thing to share the message, and that's what I'm going to do for the rest of my life. But I guess unfortunately and fortunately, things don't work that way. Unfortunately, because it means I'm going to have to learn so many skills. Obviously, I'm still going to continue to work with nonprofits and organize and bring people together and sit down and have difficult conversations saying, like, what is a specific issue and what are the steps that we can take to accomplish that? That's one of the most important things is what are specific steps we can take as a collective? Who can we ask for help? There are so many people that are willing to help, but we actually need to find and bring those people together into common spaces. I One of the first things I did that I think really pushed me into my advocacy was I attended a summit held by Bergen County that brought together students from GSAs all over the county. And then I spoke at a town hall where I got to meet different LGBTQ advocacy stakeholders throughout New Jersey and just got to speak with people and actually realize like people are coming from so many different directions, doing so many different things with the common goal of help people in this sector, right? Specifically, uh, the LGBTQ community, but just in general, like I said, my advocacy goes beyond that. But they all have those goals, right? So I've been trying to, through my involvement in so many different organizations, try and connect all of these groups, right? Try and connect all these messages into just our culture, right? I talk with my groups all the time about the way we provide freedom, the way we provide equality is not just through legislation, but we also need social equality. And that can only be accomplished through a change in our culture, which means we have to be very specific and very conscious in the ways we try and make that change. Because I find sometimes we can just go guns blazing, saying, like, we want this and this and this and this and this, and it has to happen now exactly like this. And while I would love for that to be the case, we have to be specific in what are we trying to change and in what ways can we implant those seeds into our culture, right? Like I said, I'd like to do it through art. I like to do it through organizing. I think it's important to do it through community and education. And once you start exposing people to these ideas of what is liberation, what can that look like? What does that look like for me? What does that look like for you? And how can it affect all of us and make us a better community? That's when you start to actually see change, is when that culture is created. We every single day, just the ways we talk to each other, the little things we do, even just helping someone out, that can have an influence. And I actually gave I say my students, they're not really my students, but they come to me for things. During one of our meetings, I gave them a homework assignment, which is literally just talk to a stranger. Talk to a stranger and do something nice for them. Say something nice to them because that little seed, right, that can make you a friend, or that can just be someone seeing a queer person as a human being, right? If especially I think on the news when we have queer people being like poised as pedophiles and sexual assaulters and a threat, the only way we can change that mindset in people is just by speaking to them. That's really it. A change in culture.
Yeah, as you said, it's amazing what can be done by opening a conversation, like you said,
Yeah.
with kindness, with friendliness, with that approach, because then it just breaks down that tendency to like other someone else that you met like
Right.
different from me, so I really appreciate that. This has been such a good conversation, Eddi. So I thank you. You've gotten us off to like an awesome start today. Um, one last thing that we ask is, you've been on your own personal journey, and there may be other young people like you who maybe they're feeling like it's not safe for them to
Mhm.
speak. It's not safe for them to act. Um, if you could, and I'm sure you probably do this all the time in the type of leadership that you have, but if you wanted to encourage someone, to take a step and to maybe begin to let their voice go out, or someone who says, I don't even know what to do to be of service to other people.
Mhm.
You've kind of said this before, but if you want to just encapsulate it, what would you encourage someone to do?
I think the first thing I would tell that person is to know that they are loved, know that they are being watched over, and that there are people out there, right? I meet, I think, so many queer activists in New Jersey every single week. I was telling my mom that I think I've met more queer students in the past month than she probably has in her entire life. But what one of the things I always say to them is like, even if I don't know you, I love you and I care about you. And I guarantee you that I'm not the only one, because if you ever come to me or another person and say, I'm struggling and I want to do something and I need help, we will help you. And I think that's just really evident of that unconditional love that we have for community. And the second thing I'd say is you have to actually ask for that help. You have to be spontaneous. When you notice that there is an issue in your community, there is a tangible issue that you think you can fix, but you don't have the guidance, just ask someone for help or just take the first step to actually fixing that issue. Start figuring out who in your community can make change. Start figuring out what steps need to be taken and write them down. Write down every single thing that you want to do, because even if you don't do it right away, which you should always take that first step the second it goes into your head. But at least if you want to think it through a little more, which is probably the good advice, then at least it's there. At least you won't forget about it. But I always find that it's very easy, and I even did this when I first started out, is I'd want to do something, and then I'll just be like, I'll do it later. I'll figure it out. And then it never happens. And that's honestly so sad because there are so many brilliant ideas that I find that people have that never end up seeing the light of day and could truly help so many students, so many people in tiny, tiny ways. And it's those tiny changes that change a culture, change lives.
Yes, you said it. It's a lot of tiny things that start to move, right? Move, and then you get more movement and more movement and more people, and then change can happen. Well, I want to say thank you for making this time. This was great. We have 30 people that are being recognized this year. So we have
Wow.
15 of our Gen Z honorees, and then we have 15 that have been kind of established leaders and volunteers. So we have Mark's job is that he kind of puts these interviews together into some videos where we have a number of folks that really work on advocacy and really kind of promoting justice, big word justice, as well as inclusion and just really building community. And I think this is such a talking with you really kind of fills that pursuit. You add to that perspective so much to some of the others that we've spoken to. So yeah, our videos will be shown at the ceremony, which we're really excited. I hope you're able to come. I know we have
I am. I'm taking off of
some
school that
students
day.
are like, oh, I have tests that day. I'm like, oh no. So yeah, so I know we've sent something out that we'd love to have you bring a crew, bring guests, family,
Mhm.
friends, whomever you would like to come. It's a really nice day. Um, a lot of great people to meet from all different parts of the state and different types of work that they're doing. So I don't know if you have any specific questions about this.
No,
I know.
honestly, like I'm so grateful to have had this conversation. I feel like
Mhm.
inspired now, even though I'm just talking about this stuff, but I'm like, oh, I feel like I was contradicting myself saying like, I had an idea and now I wrote it down and now I'm like, oh, I should go do that. So that's probably what I'm gonna do today. I'm on spring break, so I'm just gonna try stuff.
Oh, good.
But I'm really grateful and I'm really happy that you guys are doing this with so many other talented people in Gen Z. I mean, shout out my generation, I guess. And I'm looking forward to meeting everyone. This is gonna be great. Thank you.
Awesome. Mark, I think you're muted now.
Yes,
Is
yes.
there something before we let her go? Yeah.
It feels weird. I mean, it feels it feels weird. I'm just gonna be honest. My AJ just
Mhm.
messaged me one day saying, "Hey, I want to nominate you for all the work you've done." And I went, "Really? Wow, that's awesome." I no intention of that happening, and I noticed like that over the course of the past year or two, I've won a few awards just for my work, and I'm like, if those awards had not come in, I would still be doing the work. Not like of course, very grateful, and I think it will allow me to meet more people, but ultimately, like I'm still gonna be kicking. Like it's not for the award, I promise, but it's I didn't know the award existed. I didn't know the award existed until recently. So I'm just really grateful, and I'm honestly grateful for this providing me some platform to be able to meet people that are going through similar things that I'm going through, or trying to make similar changes that I'm trying to make, and also to spread that message with more people that aren't even those people. Like I'm happy. I'm grateful. Thank you.
Well, it's a wonderful community that I'm
Mark,
walking
you're muted yourself
into.
again.
And even though this is like the end of the program, we're kind of ending with this, passing the torch. We're hoping that the people that you meet and the people that are out there who've met you will continue to kind of keep those relationships going. So it's great, and we're as I said, we're really excited, and it'll be here before we know it. So I want to. I know
This
we
is
told you like a half hour, and we're already a half hour, so I want to make sure we let you go.
yeah, I mean I'm all right. I'm all right.